was a weird one. This week we're covering Season 2, Episode 17. It's called New York Shiniest, and, well, they had the technology. They built him. They didn't really rebuild him, but we've got a very crazy episode this week.
If you build him, Irma will come. New York Shiniest debuted December 3rd, 1988, directed by Bill Wolfe, and written by Richard Merwin with a bonus credit to Fred Wolf. Dan, you and I, you texted me that line before we even got started on this episode.
I'm sorry. I'll be back in half an hour. You broke me.
Dude, this is one of my favorites, I think. Absolute all-time favorites. I think it's a big fan favorite, kind of dark horse one, too, just because of how ridiculous it is. And in the context of everything we've seen so far in the series, that's saying a lot.
Yeah, for sure. This is like, I think this is the first one that is truly just off the walls bonkers.
Yeah, we'll cover it in detail as we go on to the end, but there was no point in this episode outside of to just have a ball, and damn it, do they ever.
Yeah, I feel like I'm honestly kind of speechless on this one for a while, because it wasn't what I was expecting. It's not what I remembered.
It's a fan favorite. I see a lot of chatter about this one online, and I had completely forgotten it. But as I'd mentioned before, this is one I'd had on tape. Like, it was one of the handfuls that during the 1990 reissue, when Deke was putting out all the episodes, kind of in like two pairs and short cassettes that you could get like at Kmart or Pizza Hut sometimes, I guess. So yeah, this one, like, it unearthed something in me. When I started hearing the lines, I was like, that moment in Ratatouille when the critic goes back in time to his childhood, is like, oh, this one's ringing real loud.
So it didn't unearth something like it did for Irma.
No, not quite the same. Close. I also wanted to make note that on the VHS, this one is bundled with Cowabunga Shredhead. In fact, that's the title on the VHS. It's just Ninja Turtles Cowabunga Shredhead, 2 episodes. New York Shiniest Cowabunga Shredhead, which is weird to me because at the time, as a kid, I didn't know or care about continuity, but these are from 2 different seasons. You know, we're in season 2, but Cowabunga Shredhead came from season 3 and it got bundled together in that tape, and I thought that was odd.
I don't remember either episode. Obviously, I remember this one now, but like, are they thematically appropriate? Are they connected in any way?
Not even a little bit. All right, so let's get into it. We open with a slow zoom on the cityscape, crossfade it to, and say it with me now, the dingiest warehouse in New York.
It's the Big Bite Research Warehouse number 8. And I gotta say, I'm starting to wonder why Shredder even needs to do the whole, like, commit crimes, take over the world thing. He's already a real estate tycoon.
Yeah, he's really kind of got the whole Lex Luthor thing figured out. So Shredder's on the phone with Krang, and he's divulging a plan to, and say it with me now, finish the Turtles once and for all.
Not even Rocksteady believes him this time.
Yeah, right.
Rocksteady and Bebop are a highlight in this episode, and they don't really contribute much, but if you just watch them in the background, they're constantly a source. So they've put a plan into place right on Front Street on this episode. So New York City is low on cops, and Shredder wants to steal one of their new robot police officers and then clone it to make an army of robot soldiers. And all right, so you see the initial problem here. There's a lot to unpack. New York being low on cops, that's a phrase that's never been uttered in history and never will be.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of there have been times when it was said that we need more cops, but not because there was a dangerously low amount of them.
Yeah, that's just propaganda, and I never thought Ninja Turtles would play into it. Shame. We also have the whole automated AI job replacement, so that's a big checkaroony.
Yep.
And then the terminology he uses is to clone the robot, and I don't know if I'm just, splitting hairs with semantics here, but no?
I mean, like, as we'll see later in the episode, his whole plan is like, why couldn't you have just done that to begin with? Why did you need, like, he's already built robots. Like, I guess this is kind of like the Mousers. Like, he needed somebody else to make something first so that he could steal the idea.
This is literally the third robot army that Shredder has commanded in continuity. Dude needs to really kind of refresh his brainstorming technique.
I mean, this one went pretty far. So, I mean, I guess like kudos to the NYPD science division for coming up with a badass robot that Shredder could nearly take over the city with.
I guess Shredder just kind of piggybacks on this one, and we'll talk about it. He doesn't put a lot of like initial effort in. He just kind of like picks up where somebody left off and figures it out at the 11th hour. But we'll talk about it later. Before we cut away from Shredder, though, I really liked Krang's line where he says,
"If you fail, you shall spend the rest of your miserable existence with these two dolts."
Yeah, with us.
The ultimate threat.
Couldn't imagine a worse fate. We cut over to Irma and April, and they're walking somewhere in Manhattan, and whoa! April's got an outfit change. She's wearing a pink dress and a purple jacket instead of the usual yellow jumpsuit. And, all right.
Oh, yeah.
But in the Ninja Turtles pantheon, turtles et al., all villains, etc., costumes. Costumes are the game. We talk about this. Fantastic work on some of the disguises they come up with. Mediocre work on others. But did it fuck with your head as much as it did mine when cartoon characters changed their clothes when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, probably more of an impact. I don't have a memory of this specifically. I mean, I feel like Ninja Turtles is kind of hard, right? Because like if they're wearing clothes at all, it's a disguise, and that kind of changes.
But as far as the human allies, you know, April's always got the yellow jumpsuit. In 2K3, she always had like the purple belly shirt and all that other stuff. Like, most cartoon characters don't change their clothes. Rocco's always got a purple shirt with pink diamonds on it. And Doug Funny, well, that's a bad example. That's one of those, like when Doug came back on Disney and he had pants on instead of khaki shorts, I was like, oh, this is not Doug.
So I think it's kind of funny where I'll use a modern cartoon for example. So like we watch Bluey a lot with my daughter, and in that none of the dogs wear clothes, but they do laundry constantly, and they have closets full of clothes. And every time Lauren and I are like, what happens to these that you have to wash them?
Cartoon logic is always weird, you know, like if Donald Duck shows up at the beach, he's wearing pants for the first time ever. There's only a few like cartoons in history. I was kind of looking this up out of curiosity, but like there was a Nickelodeon show, Klasky Supo, called As Told by Ginger. There was like an action show that I think was 4Kids or something, Totally Spies. I forget who did that.
Oh, yeah.
They always, like, that's a big deal. Like, those characters regularly change clothes like normal human beings. That's a sell point of their show. But as far as most of the cartoons, yeah, like the second that April shows up in a different outfit, you're like, that's not April.
All right, I'll pitch the question. Biggest impact costume change?
In this show or ever?
Ever.
Squidbillies.
Okay, I don't know that, so you'll have to tell me.
Squidbillies is an Adult Swim show from like, I want to say 2008, 10, something like that.
Yeah.
About a bunch of squids who are hillbillies. Go figure.
Yep.
Early changes his hat every single episode. No other cartoon has consistently had a new outfit change every episode as Squidbillies.
See, okay, I appreciate that. The impact could be that there's constant change, and so you're like always on your toes. For me, I have like two costume changes that were not frequent but notable when they happened. And the first one is Nightwing in Batman the Animated Series, like when Robin officially shifted to Nightwing was such like a big pivotal moment in the show.
Yeah.
And two, this is kind of cheating because it's not really like a costume change, but because it's a digital world, it's kind of hard to quantify for me. So I'm gonna say the kid from Reboot, Enzo.
Oh, when they do like that time jump thing.
Yeah, exactly.
In season 3 or 4. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. He comes back as like an adult all of a sudden.
He's like a bounty hunter.
That was wild. That was a good show. Wonder if any podcasts are doing that one. Probably. Okay, let's focus.
Yeah.
Irma and April are talking. Irma is lamenting not being able to find a guy.
Yeah, I feel like we missed our opportunity to put in our catchphrase, which I think it's just now. Thirst alert! Thirsty Irma is back, y'all.
Yoo-hoo!
Irma, what are you doing in the sewers?
Well,
I'm thirsty.
Thirsty Irma never left. She gets catcalled by like a sleazy truck passenger, though, not a driver. I want to specify that he's sitting in the passenger seat. So
Yeah, so I have a funny thing about this guy.
what's that?
Must have been when like just the animation or I don't know, the TV I was watching it on or whatever, but when he's leaning out the car and he's talking, first of all, his voice is hilarious. It is like somebody asked the voice actor to do the worst voice they could think of, which, you know, makes sense thematically with what the guy is doing. But still, it's kind of hilariously bad, and I love it.
Hey, baby, what's shaking, sweet thing?
For whatever reason, I think it's because of the headband. It's the headband because I thought I saw like the straps of like a tank top or something, but it turns out that's not what he's wearing. But when he peeks his head out the door, I'm like, okay, Hillbilly Rambo. And that's just what I call him the rest of the episode.
He doesn't sound like Stallone, though.
Oh, no. It's just like the headband and the hair that made me think of it, and then his voice is just ludicrous. It's amazing.
There's some really excellent choice-worthy voice acting in this episode. He catcalls her, and then Irma responds, and just absolutely terrible role model. That would not fly today.
Yep, she's kind of into it, and April's like, no.
I don't really have a lot of jokes about this one. Just kind of yikes, man. Like, that did not age well.
Yeah, Irma, you can be too desperate.
Irma and April return to April's apartment, which is in the middle of being robbed by the most lackadaisical thieves ever.
I mean, like, this whole sequence is crazy. It's almost like the show is gaslighting you.
How so?
Okay, so April's front door is unlocked. Strange. There's a group of thugs, which, hey, it's a new set of punks. Only punks are evil in New York City in the Ninja Turtles show. We're back to that trope.
I didn't see a single mohawk on those guys.
Oh, come on. The guy, like the main guy who's talking, it's not a mohawk, but it's still like a punk look.
It's not a mohawk, that's all.
Okay, yeah, it's not a mohawk, but come on, he's wearing an anarchy shirt.
Okay, continue.
The front door is unlocked. A group of punks are robbing her in broad daylight of everything. The guy in the anarchy shirt is hauling her whole couch over his back.
Which is impressive.
Yeah. What's more impressive is that even though the homeowner is now home, the thugs do not care, and they just go on about business as usual.
They don't rush, they don't panic, they just keep doing what they're doing at like a snail's pace. They're not wearing masks or disguises or anything. They just kind of push her over and leave.
And then, yeah, one of them pushes April on the ground. Irma's just standing there, patient as ever, as if this happens all the time. And then, like, the description that I got for Irma's reaction is like, the robbers are a group of ducks crossing the road, and you just have to let them finish.
It does kind of marry into the theme of the episode, though, because she immediately acknowledges in this that crime is at a peak in New York.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's kind of implied that the criminals are just running the streets at this point. But she says this wouldn't happen if the Turtles were here.
Yeah, and then Irma just casually breaks the fourth wall to comment that most people would ask for the boys in blue.
She wants the boys in green.
And I'm like, girl, your friend is in danger. You are in danger. Why are you cracking wise at a time like this?
You say casually, but that has got to be one of the most blatant camera looks that we've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. It is blatant. But I'm saying, like, she doesn't do it with, like, urgency. She's just, like, turns around and looks at the camera and is like, I'm going to make a joke right now to you, the viewer.
That is a good way to put it. There is a strangely low level of urgency about this episode. Nothing feels like immediate danger.
Like, especially because, look, there's been crime in this show before. The whole thing about the show is that there's crime happening. But, like, I don't know, besides the cyberpunks, like, this is really explicit crime. April's at least like, hey, stop taking my stuff. And Irma's like, yeah, whatever, this is normal.
Like you keep saying, the producers of this show have a very unique and specific perspective of New York in the 80s. We cut to the sewer, and Splinter is doing his best Jurassic Park logo impression. He's got the TMNT doing chores while convincing them it's training, and they're stacked 4 shoulders tall on top of each other to change a light bulb, and I don't think there's any cavern underneath the city that's tall.
It's just another one of these things where, like, it starts off, they trick you into thinking, like, it is just a training session. And then, no, apparently it takes 4 Ninja Turtles to change a light bulb. There's the answer to that joke.
Yeah, I Googled it, too. There's no joke out there. Hey, how often do you think Splinter does that and takes advantage of the turtles, like disguising menial tasks as something important? Like my mom, I'm not even playing with this one, my mom used to say stuff like, wow, you're so good at vacuuming the car. It's incredible. No one's as talented as you at vacuuming the car. And I'm like, shit, I've got a reputation to maintain.
I mean, I bet he does it all the time because the turtles fall over. They don't change the light bulb. Their communicators go off, and April's like, hey, I've just been robbed. I need your help. And Splinter's like, my sons, what about the light bulb? Like, again, their friend is in danger. What is wrong with everyone in this episode?
He's got a list of chores to do. It's a Saturday. I think he's probably got Donatello out back beating a dusty rug with his bow staff. Leo's clipping coupons. No, my sons, this is essential training.
I want to see that episode.
Me too.
It's like everybody wanted the spot in 24 where it's just Kiefer Sutherland going to the bathroom. Like, I want the Saturday afternoon chores episode of Ninja Turtles.
If you want that experience, there was a show on Hulu once upon a time called The Wrong Mans, which is exactly the same premise as 24, except actually 24. So you see them taking the stairs and using the bathroom. It's hysterical. Free plug over with. This did make me think of a conversation I saw on Reddit over the weekend where somebody was asking, what if the multiversal splinters encountered each other? And I said that they'd just quietly go play Go together while the boys all scrapped. So
that would be fun. I would like to see that.
Yeah, I want another Turtles Forever scenario crossover, but we need to get the splinters together. We need to get more of the supporting cast in the multiverse.
Oh, man, could you imagine, like, the adult Aprils meeting the children Aprils?
No, I want to see all the Caseys in the same room.
I feel like it would, for most of these, it would just be all the other ones looking at the 87 one being like, whoa, what the fuck?
Absolutely terrified. Like the 2012 Casey straight up leaves. The 2003 Casey is like looking around for backup and like whispering to people like, is he okay?
No, he is not okay.
Man went to a job interview in full hockey guard. Okay.
I can't wait to get to that episode.
Oh.
Yeah, we do have one more thing we got to mention from this weird sewer scene because Mikey uses his magic nunchucks to unscrew the whole fixture out of the ceiling.
I think you just read my notes verbatim. Are you looking at my screen?
Maybe.
Word for word. He tries to unscrew the light bulb but with the... throw the nunchuck at him and it just works. Nope.
Dynamite catch.
Annihilates the entire lighting fixture.
But you know what? I kind of think it's a fine comeuppance for Splinter.
by making them do pissy tasks when they have bigger responsibilities.
Then he's like, oh, what about the light bulb? I know your friend has been robbed, but I need my light changed. Like, fuck you, Splinter.
I mean, in all fairness, he is in the sewer. It's not like there's another source of light down there.
That's true.
All right, so back to April and Irma. April's fuming at this point. Irma convinces her to do a story about this rising crime rate on Channel 6, so April reaches out to a police contact. I don't really have much to commentate on this one, though.
I just think, again, it's really funny to me that in pretty much every other episode, April is always thinking about where's the story. I got to get a story. And then she has been robbed. And Irma's like, hey,
it's a story.
You're a news reporter, right? Could you report the news?
Irma, you're right. I will.
All right, so we got the Turtles en route in the fucking van for once.
Yeah.
They're in their trenchies. Classic, simple, effective, 7 out of 10 fashion score.
Party van still says that they're turtles, but there we go.
Is it me, or do they look a little round in this episode?
Yeah, well, come on, they're trench coats. It's hard to get a trench coat that size.
Okay, but it's a cartoon and you can draw it however you want. And historically, they look a little more humanoid when they wear the trench coats, just probably because default animation style. But this one really captures the eggness of their shell shape. It's just, it's realistic, but a little silly when they turn front to camera.
Yeah, no, it's a silly shot. But this whole scene is kind of silly because, remember, the Turtles are on their way to April, who had just been robbed. And before they get to April's from wherever part of the sewer they're coming from, they run into the exact robbers with all of April's stuff.
Yeah, I kind of thought that they were just sitting out front.
The crooks were on the way, which means they're still close to the scene of the crime, and they might just be outside. And they're not even like waiting for a getaway truck or anything. They're literally selling it.
They're straight up just having a curb sale.
Yeah, you want to buy this TV set we just picked up?
It's a real steal.
So yeah, we've got the hoodlums that are fresh from April's apartment, selling the crap out on the sidewalk. Turtles call him out for recognizing April's shit, and a big bruiser pops out the back of the van, and oh, it's the dude who was macking on Irma.
It's Hillbilly Rambo.
While they were robbing April, and ew. That's an extra level of ew.
Yeah.
So fight music kicks in. Mikey throws a chuck at the light, which drops and misses the dude, but he's spooked anyway and runs off. I thought that was a weird exchange.
Magic nunchucks. I'd be scared too. But hey, we missed one thing about the entrance of Rambo.
What?
A fellow chucker, eh?
Was he holding chucks? You're right. Okay.
I'm a little bit upset that Mikey didn't say something about him holding a nunchuck. Obviously, it's not going to be the line because the movie came after this, but still.
Yeah, it's a missed opportunity. They absolutely should have set that up for I don't know. What else could Michelangelo say in that scenario besides the famous line?
Right? I mean, like let's see what you got.
Oh, bro, you're giving chuckers a bad name.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. But yeah, magic nunchucks trump normal nunchucks, and the guy runs away immediately. And then they deal with the other two by lifting their van over their heads.
They deadlift the entire van over their heads. I actually thought this was a pretty cool little moment. Like, I really liked this for some reason.
I thought they were going to throw it at them.
I thought this was actually one of the most strategic things Leo has ever done, because he says, sometimes you can solve conflict without violence.
Yeah, there you go.
Leo's finally stepping up in this. The sheer feat of strength sends all the villains running, and it's literally the definition of weird flex, but okay. The next part, though, the Turtles return all of April's stuff to her apartment, but okay, so they roll it in on like a hand truck and stuff, but she says it's all ruined, and then like Donnie tries to turn on the TV and explodes. Why is all of her shit ruined?
I mean, everything was stolen from her house. They rolled in with 4 boxes, one of which is a TV. Not the couch. We know the couch is missing. They did not come home with it. Everything's ruined, apparently, which is weird because it was just on the side of the road. And then, yeah, Donnie plugs the TV into the wall and turns it on, and it blows up because, of course.
Are they just presuming that we figured the stuff got kind of dinged around because they tried to steal it? They were very careful and gentle with it when they were loading it out of her apartment.
Yeah. And it doesn't even make sense for the scene because April doesn't even care. She's just like, I got a story. I gotta go.
I mean, she's dedicated to her craft.
But she didn't have to blow up the TV because she didn't care one way or the other.
All right. In the next scene, it's dark, and April is sneaking into a sketchy warehouse after nightfall because that's where her police contact told her to investigate. And I just have to say, April's better at stealth than the Turtles.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
She finds a spooky lab with a body under a sheet on a table a la Frankenstein. She calls it out by name. Not just anybody, though. This is fan favorite Rex 1.
I just want to add in that her police contact told her to do a B&E.
No, not explicitly. April has a history of reading between the lines, let's be honest. So we unveil Rex 1. He's a 7-foot-tall robot man who looks exactly like you would expect him to, wearing a cop uniform. And he says,
I am Rex 1. I am programmed to serve and protect you.
Yep.
And I just wanted to make comment on this because this is really something to behold. The robot cop is being played by a voice actor named Jack Angel. This guy is a consummate voice actor, and I guarantee he helped shape your childhood, and you have no idea. We fawn over the voice actors, the Maurice LaMarches, the Rob Paulsons, the Jim Cummings, the Cass Soucies, the so on and on and on. But you never hear Jack Angel's voice dropped in here, and damn, dude, he has done a long list of TV shows, video games, and movies. Here's a small fraction. Despicable Me, Toy Story, he's the shark. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Resident Evil, Rabbids, Ben 10. He's Teddy from the movie AI. He's in the Harvey Birdman Attorney at Law show. He played Nick Fury in the Spider-Man animated series. He's in the real Ghostbusters. He was also the Radish Spirit in Spirited Away and the voice of Ultra Magnus on Transformers, the TV show, because the movie was obviously Robert Stack. And most egregiously, he is a current Papa Smurf. I love shining a spotlight on people like this because, damn, dude, thank you for everything.
For real.
Rex is a classic fish out of water trope. He's a robot. He doesn't know how to interact with humans. He doesn't quite understand the language. And when his programming kicks in, when April notices the guards coming in to catch her, she panics and he's ready to serve and protect. But he just obeys every command she says like a lost puppy. So when she says, hold your tongue, he just, okay.
Yep. Actually holds its tongue. I called him Drax one.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's very good.
I'll do you one better. Why is Gamora?
I want to know what R&D guy had to program a tongue for a robot.
Right? It's, yeah. I mean, why not? You know, just go for it.
So April's busted. The guards confront her. Rex swoops in to the rescue, and he charges them with disturbing the peace,
Put us down, you hunk of tin!
resisting arrest,
You ain't never getting away with this!
and using a double negative. Holy shit, I'm laughing so hard.
He's programmed with a sense of humor. He even makes April says say cheese, and he's like, I prefer oil shakes.
One, I wanted to say cop on cop violence. You always love to see it. And then, yeah, when April bails, it's as much the action as it is his execution on the action. So when she runs out of the room, wait, sir, you've forgotten an important item.
Hello!
You! Why did you
hurls his fucking body out the window?
Yeah, he Ong Bak double knees the window straight to the ground and goes straight through the sidewalk.
Yeah, he puts a fucking crater in the concrete, like a 10-ton girder, while holding his own remote so April can keep controlling him. There's a fetish. It's just, but his landing, he goes, hello.
Yeah, if you're watching along with us at home, freeze frame at 7 minutes and 34 seconds for just this amazing still of the of Rex One going through the sidewalk.
I want that hello to be my ringtone. I remember why this was such a fan favorite. Like, it just keeps like clicking memories that I had put away for decades. The chaotic good in this, holy shit, man. It's perfect. He's like a baby bird that like bonded with a caretaker.
Exactly.
Not too close, Barnaby. If you touch it, the mother won't take it back.
Stupid hat, and he's got Krang's body's glasses.
Everybody had those glasses in the 80s. Like 15 of the punks that the Turtles have beaten up so far have had those glasses.
Pizza time.
Okay, so Rex is infinitely bonded to April and dedicated to serving and protecting whoever holds that remote. He hoists her up, carries her home. Before we move on, what are some other famous 80s robots that kind of fill this this trope? RoboCop, obviously.
Yeah, that was the one that you immediately jumped to.
Of course. Johnny Number 5 has a lot of the same kind of verbal notes.
Yeah, the same kind of humor in a lot of ways.
Terminator to a certain extent.
That cheesy grin.
Yeah, and I wanted to cite Psycho from Rocky 4.
Oh, man.
If anybody remembers, that's a bit of a dark horse.
The robot butler.
Yep. 80s were such a gold mine for robot characters.
It's our second Rambo reference.
Oh, God, wait till you get to the Fugitoid. Yeah, simpler times when the robots just wanted to be more like humans. Now they manufacture fake news on the internet. Okay. Another kind of throwaway section with Shredder, Bebop, and Rocksteady. Shred's still trying to hack into the city computer to access the cop robot plans, I guess. I don't know. For a scientist / inventor, he's pretty shitty at hacking in the digital realm. We cut to April's apartment, and Robo Himbo is making her dinner. I like how he calls her sir constantly. Enter Lady Boner, I mean Irma, who instantly gets, let's say, Let's call it intrigued.
Yeah, let's call it intrigued, and definitely not that she's trying to fuck this robot in April's living room.
I didn't realize you had company. Quite a hunk.
She's like, she's so bothered by this. She's obviously a robot. What?
Irma can make any situation exponentially more uncomfortable. So the guards from the research facility have found April at home, which I feel is a little bit above their pay grade.
Yep.
And I'm absolutely crying in tears. This exchange between April and Rex over opening the door. She says, "Don't open it. I will make a new one." It shoots a hole in the door.
Just blows it up.
It's its delivery. It's so good. It doesn't do any justice for me to try to read it. Ooh, Jack Angel, what a savant. Instantly in love with this performance. Top 10.
And the cop's reaction. Like, okay, so, like, the cops definitely, I mean, the security guards should have been, like, they should have been shot. Let's be real.
They should be dead.
That door would not absorb that whole laser bolt, but the door blows up, revealing the security guards on the other side, and they're just like, never mind, and run away.
I like when characters make smart decisions instead of always continuing with their unnecessary confrontation. Yeah, they bail. Irma comes. We're moving on. April brings Rex to the lair because, I don't know, she wants to make her other boyfriends jealous. Rex snaps Donnie's bow staff while he's practicing, pisses him off, obviously. And this
They're not practicing. They are not practicing.
Fine.
They are just goofing
Fine.
off.
Donnie's showing off.
Donnie is saying, like, I wonder if I could win a baton toss competition or something.
Baton twirling competition.
You think I could make it as a baton twirler?
Let Donnie live his life.
It's just so funny because, like, even with all of, like, the TVs and the weapons and all the things they could be doing down there, they're all just politely standing by and watching Donnie spin his bow around. It's so adorable.
He's so excited, but they're also a supportive family. I love this. But when Rex snaps his bow, the fucking line,
Being a 7-foot robot means never having to say you're sorry.
why is every line in this a masterpiece?
He must have improv them. How much you want to bet he improved all these lines?
I hope so. Jack Angel, you are becoming my favorite voice actor of all time. But also, seriously, shame on April because the Turtles don't have a great reputation with metallic soldiers.
That is true.
Regardless of this, she needs their help. Here's the scenario. They need to sneak into Channel 6, so they climb the side of the building Batman style. Vernon's at the control console in the studio, which just straight up looks like the wall of computers that he stole from the Technodrome for some reason. And then Leo blindfolds him with my elbow pad so that they can kidnap him to come to April. So they gotta get Vernon down to the sewers without him figuring out where that is.
I like that April, when she's explaining the story, is like, I just wanted a story, and now the police think I kidnapped him. Like, you did.
You did.
You did steal him.
You 100% kidnapped him, and then you had your coworker kidnapped. You're kind of 0 for 2 here, April. So she's going to try to report the story. Vernon's in the sewers, and he's got the camera, but they won't unblindfold him, so yuck, yuck, yuck.
Yep. He's a sensitive artist.
He is, but so is Donatello, except he's way more excitable. I love that he grabs the camera and instantly geeks out. Perfect characterization.
Oh, wow, is this ever cool?
Yeah, this is a real, like, teenage moment for all of them. They just immediately goof off with the camera, which, like, come on, how we all did that, right?
We all still do that. We've had cameras in our pockets for a better part of a decade, and people still do stupid shit like that. Hence TikTok. So she spills the report about the police force developing the REX, which stands for Robot Enforcement Experiment. Or no, what does it say? Yeah, Robot Enforcement Experiment. This is the prototype. Vernon beams it back to Channel 6, says they're planning for mass production to replace the city police officers. So Burns sees this, Shredder sees this, I assume the NYPD sees this on TV, and everyone must be pissed.
Yep.
I'm kind of shocked that the cop union isn't on their way to burn down April's apartment as we speak.
Are you trying to tell me how to do my job?
April says, will this plan work? Will this be the end of the annual police softball game?
Hard-hitting questions.
Shouldn't Shredder be more pissed in this scenario, though? Like, I thought he was trying to get to Rex first, not knowing that he was in a race, but, like, if April and the team usurped the robot, I would have thought Shredder had been like, no, curse them! But he's just like,
Yeah, this is a weird thing to me. Correct me if I'm wrong, but does he just copy the robot from the news broadcast?
No, he does say while the report is going on that he has finally accessed the city computer, which is where they just keep police blueprints at access. I don't know. So he's got the schematics to make this thing. So he can just straight up 3D print them now. It was a timing convenience.
Because
I thought so too. Did he just scan the screen?
Right, like I missed that, and I'm like, why doesn't he just make robot turtles or anything on television?
Oh God, who would win a fight between Rex 1 and Metalhead?
I think we should revisit that when we see the Metalhead episode.
Good call. So anyways, Shredder, he's ready to 3D print, and he unleashes an evil Rex army, and they're hitting the streets.
And they're, like, good. I mean, like, when I say they're good, I mean, like, they're competent in their job. They are very evil. So
Turtles are in the van. They're crossing the Brooklyn Bridge. They get pinned between two factions of these robots, closing in on them from either side. They're trapped. Evil Rexes shoot a hole in the bridge.
Yep.
And the Turtles escape by driving the van through the hole into the river.
So you were talking before about how Leo's really coming into his own with some of his dialogue. And
until now.
Exactly. He's like right back to well, if we're going to die with honor. And I'm not entirely convinced that, like, when he drove the van off the bridge, that he wasn't like, this is it. I'm killing my brothers and me.
You raised a good point. I forget it was last episode or the couple before, but yeah, Leo has a death wish. He is constantly ready to die in battle, which is a weird thing for the main character in a kid's show to do.
Right? It's just like, it's one of those things where, like, weird that this keeps coming up.
It's the only consistent characterization he's got, I guess. Every other iteration of Turtles has given Leo a little more depth, but in that he kind of comes off a little more wishy-washy and vanilla because he's a conflicted character. In this one, he's like, no, we'll die for good. Bro, he gave us the wrong change. Calm down.
It's so funny. His characteristic in this cartoon is he's the leader, and the only version of leading that they could think of is wants to die in battle.
Well, he almost succeeds because the van plummets into the goddamn Hudson. Shredder sees this on his Everywhere TV, and he's thrilled. And I just said to myself, bro, the Turtles. Even dumb kid me when I was 5 years old knew that they were going to be okay. No suspense here.
Emperor Shredder to all robot enforcers. Proceed to phase 2.
Phase 2 is robbing banks.
Yep.
Okay.
Get money.
Oh, and holding up Channel 6 by taking it off the air. And the part where they shoot the control console and April's just like, oh, I wonder why Channel 6 is off the air because she's watching the news live. As somebody who's worked in broadcast, my heart stopped. The second there's dead air, you're programmed to absolutely panic. So camera cuts back to under the bridge. The Turtles resurface. R.I.P. the party wagon, I guess.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking, like, so last week we talked about how, like, we are watching some of these episodes in a different order than what's listed as, like, the official televised order. And do you think that there's so much use of the blimp because this happened earlier, or is that, like, are we watching this where it was supposed to be watched? Like, now I'm a little bit confused.
Absolutely not. And we'll cover that in about 30 seconds. The Turtles survive because water is our natural habitat.
Yeah, it's also the stuff we live in.
Good one, Mikey.
Funny, Mikey.
The TMNT can't get April in the comm, so they just start tracking her. I don't know. They got a chip in her or something. I don't know. But wait. Okay. So almost 30 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Cut to Splinter and April driving the party wagon.
Oh my God, I didn't even realize that.
Uh-huh. Let it sink in. I'm going to wait. I'll wait.
You're going to wait? You broke me again?
That's why I love this episode. They're cruising around Midtown looking for the Turtles, and they get swarmed by evil Rexes. Rex 1 busts out the van door to defend them. Donnie's going to be so pissed. How the hell did they get the van back? Within seconds! Within seconds!
They have to? know why I didn't register that.
They were counting on that, Daniel. They were counting on that.
There's so much weird in this episode. It didn't even click.
Oh, kid shows. Rex puts up a good fight, but the evil Rex shoot a gargoyle that falls down and crushes our boy. Then the turtles show up just in time to defend Splinter and April. Leo chucks his sword at the power lines and then zaps the evil Rexes. For an intellectual property that was scrutinized for being violent by parents, they sure spend a lot of time throwing blades in this. And now we're back at the sewer lair. Donnie is MacGyvering Rex back together with TV parts, including the Turtles movie collection, so he can rewrite the programming, and boy, is this ever a setup. Also, he puts a transmitter in him that lets him control other robots at close range, a part that he got from a toaster, and I'll be right back. I need to go look for government spy in my toaster.
There's so much in this segment that is like, what kind of like just made up science fiction bullshit are we supposed to believe here? You just take a bunch of random electronic parts, throw them in a chassis, and you're like, yeah, I can use this to reprogram this guy, and also transmit controls to other robots.
The show does ask for a lot of forgiveness.
Also, when Rex comes back alive, we get the other turtles jumping for joy, a la like a Peanuts cartoon in the background, and it mirrors a moment earlier in the episode where Bebop and Rocksteady did the same exact thing.
I think if Shredder wasn't involved, Bebop and Rocksteady and the Turtles would be absolute bros. They seem like they're on the same wavelength, at least mentally.
Right?
All right, so Splinter is the man with the plan here. The good guys go down to Coney Island and light off fireworks that makes a giant turtle in the sky, a la Dark Knight Rises calling card style. And of course, the evil Rex see it and roll up. And just, where are the normal cops in this city?
Well, there weren't any. That's why they needed the robots.
They didn't say there weren't any. They said there was a shortage. You would think like somebody else in the city would be like, oh, there's an army of evil robots. But no, as always, New York is fucking barren. All right, we got the army rolling up. Rex one steps up and starts throwing movie one-liners.
All right, you orbits, eat lead.
He also does Wizard of Oz and Three Stooges. Not going to do that for copyright claim. Ninja Turtles coerce the robots into fighting them on the merry-go-round.
I also just noticed that the robots come in police cars.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, maybe the robots killed the cops.
Boy, that took a dark turn.
I'm just saying, like, they got the vehicles.
That is a consequence I don't want to think about. So anyways, the Turtles coerce the robots into fighting them on a merry-go-round. And Leo, not your best strategy. You're kind of 1 for 3 at this point.
Yeah, this is a real weird one. The robots really should have been able to deal with that.
They kind of do, though, because one of them shouts at them, "You are enemies of the state, and your sentence is death." Yikes.
Yep.
Rex confronts them and goes into jazzercise, or aerobics, I guess, because Donnie's workout tape got slipped in there.
1, 2, 1, 2, tuck in that tummy, no pain, no gain.
And then just every other bot mimics him for about 4 seconds, and then they all explode. Several hundred 3D printed evil robot cops explode simultaneously. I feel like that would sink Coney Island.
Okay, 20 minutes to 29 seconds. They're doing the aerobics. It's just 2 robots that blow up.
That we see, but we also have seen hundreds of others show up, and then you're just led to believe that they drew the conclusion because they don't have the animation budget to show the wide shot.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to point out, that there's like at least 22 robots when they're on the bridge. And
budget.
Yeah, they just don't. They only show 2 of them blowing up because they're the aerobics, and then they just cut away. They're like, well, problem solved.
Richard Simmons could have dominated the world in the 1980s. All right, back at the epilogue, April's at her apartment watching her own report because she's a narcissist. And she's in a bathrobe, another little costume change, and a little bit of a risque cartoon cleavage there. Ooh. And she's sad that there's no more Rex. But wait! Irma's just banging him now, okay.
So, like, April's report on the news spells out that the police have abandoned the Rex program. But I guess Irma still got her hands on the remote.
My job is to serve and protect and to take Irma to the movies. Irma, that's a federal offense. You just stole government property.
Also, like, Irma just keeps walking into April's apartment.
They're besties. That's what she's probably got a key. And credits. Okay.
We have you to thank, April. Oh my god.
Before we wrap things up, if you had a robot cop bodyguard or army, what movies would you use to reprogram them to be effective to your purposes?
I mean, like, does it have to be combat? Like, am I also, you know, a news reporter who's putting themselves in danger all the time, or am I just like normal Dan?
No, you're Dan. It's 1988. You're an adult. You're Dan now. It's 1988. You have access to either a robot bodyguard by the name of Rex or an army of robot cops named Rex. How do you program them? What movies do you shove into their chest cavity? What VHS tapes do you shove into their cavity to try to make them do your bidding?
Well, I mean, everything is very much focused around my child and the need for assistance raising my child. So
Mrs. Doubtfire?
I was going to do like 2.5. No, what was it? 3 Men and a Baby?
Ooh.
Mr. Nanny?
Ooh. Oh, there's a horrifying thought.
I mean, I guess you could just make them watch episodes of The Jetsons.
Solid. Okay. All right. Let's evaluate. For the moral.
What's yours? You didn't answer.
I pitched that without anticipating having to answer it myself. Let's see. I'm Brian. I'm 36. It's 1988. Oh, I got it. I would just reprogram Rex with all of the Tony Hawk skating tapes from the 80s, because that's when I would really want it to been an X Games star. Well, X Games wasn't started yet, but that was peak Tony Hawk career.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the movies I chose were all 90s as well. So
yeah, you're right. We beat it a little bit. That's okay though. All right, let's evaluate. What the hell is the moral of this one? I got nothing.
I have absolutely nothing. What's the moral of this episode? Irma likes robots.
Was this just an excuse to get Jack Angel behind the mic? Because I'm cool with it.
I mean, I think so. I think they were just like, you know what? We've had a lot of like ninja action. We've told the story with Shredder and the Turtles. Let's just have fun with this one.
Maybe it's just not all cops are bad.
Maybe it's like, we know you want to replace the cops with robots, but it's not a good idea.
Boy, on that note, this episode is a lot more relevant now than it ever has been. This is hands down a cowabunga for me. Like, I'm not even going to debate it with you. This is one of my favorite episodes. I understand now why.
It was so much fun. Like, I think we gotta like talk about the fact that like sometimes the cowabunga is gonna go to episodes because they're like really deep into the lore or establishing some really good Ninja Turtle stories, and then sometimes the cowabunga is gonna be because it was just fun.
I got no problem with fun. God, I love this episode so much.
Like, what could possibly be the moral of this story other than Irma finally gets what she wants?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Legit, I just want to go rewatch this immediately again. Or at least the highlights of Rex.
Just, yeah, a montage of all of his one-liners.
All right, as we're closing out this week's episode, let's give you your weekly affirmation, pizza-mation. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "The only pizza you are destined to become is the pizza you decide to be." Coming up next week.
I went to the hideout of this character called Shredder. I was taking pictures of some machine. When something happened to me.
Thanks, everybody, for listening to Duderonomy. Like, subscribe, send to your friends, tell your mom. I don't really know or care at this point. But we'll see you next week. Cowabunga.
Cowabunga. Bye.
Duderonomy is produced by Brian Van Gelder and me, Dan Spitaleri. Brian edits and mixes the show and also designed our show art. Our theme music is composed by Mario Sello Nuñez. You can hear more of his music on Spotify, which we've linked to in the show notes. Find us on Twitter at Duderonomy_TMNT and send email to deuteronomy.tmnt@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Cowabunga!
My name is Rex One. My job is